And we're back for the MLG World Final Dota 2. We're getting ready to start just our very first matchup for Day 2 action. It's Cloud9 going against MVP Phoenix. Back again, Kyle Guy, Melk, Nahaz. Gentlemen, here we go. Let's start to break down the matchup. Cloud9 versus MVP. A lot of people calling out they want the MVP Phoenix to return from their TI glory days. Cloud9.
It's the Omni Knight. They just need to go get that Omni Knight.
Still on that Omni Knight train. They didn't get the luck at all of getting that Spirit Breaker in yesterday's series against Secret. Maybe Cloud9 might let it through this time. What do MVP Phoenix need to do to stay alive here, Nahaz?
You know what? I'm going to be real simple with this. I got my numbers for MVP. I got my analysis for MVP. But at the end of the day, I think they need to ride QO. I mean, QO is arguably the most explosive player that we've seen in Pro Dota 2 in a very long time. If you look at career for Dota 2 LAN events, he averages 8.8 kills per 35 minutes. The next closest player is 7.6. He is a difference maker. He's a playmaker. I think they need to ride him to victory.
We'll see if they can do it. Now, I feel, Melk, that maybe one of the highly contested picks for this series is going to be that Ember Spirit. Ritsu plays a ridiculous good Ember Spirit, and we all know QO can play it as well. Is that something that could be first pickup worthy here, or do they both just kind of wait it out?
I think they can, especially because MVP Phoenix goes ahead and bans the Doombringer despite having first pick. I'm already a bit puzzled by how they choose to ban out in the draft, and especially because we saw them fourth ban Tusk in both games yesterday. And now they go ahead and first pick it, which seems a bit peculiar to me. And they go ahead and okay, there they are.
That is C9 in a nutshell right there. Yep. Opening up, they get their T-Bin AA, and then their Ritsu, I imagine, Ember Spirit here. So Cloud9 already probably very happy with the start of this draft.
I mean, this is their open. This is their two most picked, most played heroes. 10-2 on 1437's Ancient Apparition, and 12-0. on the Ritsu Ember Spirit in official matches. I think there might have been one that they missed in there on Dat Dota, but he has absolutely dominated on this hero.
But they've only been playing NA'd people, Nahaz, so it's only been against Northern American teams.
Are you saying North American teams are weak?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying I don't care who the opponent is. If you go back and you watch the replays of Ritsu on Ember Spirit, yes, this guy can play this hero at any level of competitions. I will stake a great deal of money on that.
No, I have my back behind my NA Dota, of course, and this is where I get excited because I want to see where they match up, of course, against some of the international teams. So we get a kind of a feel out that here. MVP now, moving to a second pick, and they go with the Night Stalker. Yeah. Great tempo controller, great map control. How are we feeling about this?
I like that pickup. It's really good at controlling the Ember Spirit, especially early on. I think it's a great pickup with the silence and everything. It is, however, at the cost of maybe getting a Queen of Pain or a Shadow Fiend pickup. And I think Cloud9 would be happy to ban out both those heroes right now and just eliminate some of the bigger mid-strength heroes.
I question the Night Stalker pick here for two reasons. I was curious to see whether you would be on board with it, Melk, because we talked to the Monkey Business guys yesterday. No-Tail, I feel, has a pretty good understanding of this hero, and really the sense was part of the same problems that I've had with Lich in the past, that there are game states where that hero can really be low value. And I feel like right now Night Stalker can have a lot of utility, but there are also game states where he can really struggle to contribute. I also feel like his value is slightly higher on the Radiant side, where you get that vision of the Roche Pit after he gets his Aghanims, that on the Dire side is a little bit, you'd have that anyway.
I feel like when it's one of those heroes, when you have control, it's probably one of the best heroes to have in your lineup. And no team picks an aggressive lineup thinking they're going to lose control early on. So it's definitely just them being optimistic about how they're going to execute the game plan and that they'll take control of the early game. It's great for running down the Ancient Apparition, obviously, if you get around to it. So that's an easy kill pickup. But more importantly, as I was saying, the silence on the Ember Spirit is really what makes or breaks this lineup, because they don't have that Doombringer anymore.
Ooh, wow. I was just going to say, like, this is another signature grab for Cloud9, and I'm not too sure if they played it yesterday in their matchup against CDEC, but they have been 7-0 on Venomancer coming into MLG, so another comfort grab for him. And we already know how disgusting the Venomancer AA combo can be.
And all 7 of those matches, by the way, that you're mentioning, those were all SVG. So SVG, a player that we probably haven't talked about enough. He has looked incredible on his Tusk. He's looked incredible on his Veno. Brax, though, also thinks that Veno has a huge amount of potential mid. He was one of the ones I was questioning this new movement toward Veno mid, and Brax Wax was one of the ones that really convinced me that this hero can CS with anybody. So don't be surprised. I think they'll probably stick with what's had success for them in the past, especially in combination with the AA. But there is some mid potential with this Veno as well.
I think this Cloud9 lineup already is incredibly strong. Even if they fall behind early on, it's going to be so incredibly difficult for MVP Phoenix to actually close out the game. They don't really have any siege potential as of yet. And this Venom and AA combo in 5-on-5 later on is going to be so hard to deal with, especially if the Ember Spirit farms up enough. There's a TA for the middle lane. Great pickup. We saw the bans coming out, Queen of Pain and Shadow Fiend, just like I said. So right now MVP Phoenix is sort of in this tough spot where they don't have an actual mid hero to go to that can go up against the Templar Assassin.
It's definitely feeling like Cloud9 are just quickly picking up what they want because they're playing their game, and MVP Phoenix are like, ooh, we got to try to now adjust our game, and they're trying to kind of plug up those holes along this draft in the way. I mean, they get to Disruptor, which, you know, has a great silence and crowd control for the Ember Spirit a bit, but he is going to be very frail in these team fights, and especially now against the Templar Assassin.
I don't think that when you look at hero versus hero, I think that the MVP Phoenix lineup makes some sense when you think about countering the Ember Spirit, but I'm always on people, when you talk about drafting, it's not just all hero versus hero, it's lineup versus lineup. And when you look at the Disruptor, you've got to be able to get value out of his glimpse, which means you've got to be able to be ahead in fights and chasing. I don't think they're going to be ahead in fights with the damage potential coming out from C9 here and the snowball potential overall coming out from C9's lineup. And yeah, you know, you think about Night Stalker and Disruptor being able to silence the Ember Spirit, but what about the other three heroes from C9?
Yeah, I'm completely with you here. This is a less rank pickup that I'm not supportive of either. We've seen it been picked up some ever since the nerf on it, and it's always been with very limited success. I think it's because they're in this hole right now where they don't have any mid hero and they need to go for the less rank.
So we're anticipating this is going to be a mid-lesh here.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, this can do pretty well. Obviously, even though it hasn't been the build recently, the Edict can really strip those refraction charges off the TA. And Cloud9 going to go for something that we've seen a bit in NA Dota. It's not necessarily had huge success, but the Nyx Assassin coming out, MSS will most likely be playing that in the offlane position, and that, of course, is just going to ruin this Leshrac with Mana Burn.
MSS always seems to find tremendous farm on this hero as well. I've seen games where he manages to quickly get the blink and then even goes for an Octarine core before going for the Agnum Scepter. And when you get to that point, you're at critical mass on your Nyx Assassin, and it's just going to be so hard to stop. And he is just such a great answer for the Leshrac. And the final pickup here for MVP is going to be the Bone Fletcher, Clinks.
Yeah, I think that was probably, of the options that they had available, I think that was probably one of the best. Gives them that very high degree of physical damage, so if they can lock down the Ember with a silence, they will be able to kill him very quickly. Still, though, I feel like this Cloud9 lineup, it's their comfort heroes, it has a ton of synergy. I really like Cloud9's chances in this first game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just looking at the lineup alone, I definitely favor Cloud9 for a win here. Add to that I think they would have won regardless, even if the lineups went 50-50 in terms of strategy. I think now it's just cemented.
Let's all, by the way, get hyped for Ritsu Ember Spirit on the main stage. I think you guys are in for a treat.
Yeah, it was interesting being able to finally meet Ritsu. We know him for being a very outlandish kind of a character, frequently will all chat. Probably we'll see that more in the NA versus NA kind of a matchups, and I'm sure he will behave here on the main stage, I'm sure. But it was interesting being able to finally meet him. But it looks like we are getting ready to load into the matchup, which means we're going to go ahead and throw it away to our good buddies, Capitalist and Blitz. Gentlemen, take it away. Enjoy the pause.
Thank you, Coddle Guy. Of course, Capitalist, Blitz, doing the first game of the day, Cloud9 versus MVP Phoenix. Blitz, I'm liking what Cloud9 have brought to the table when it comes to drafting, but what are your thoughts? For me, it's the Night Stalker for MVP Phoenix. If they have a chance to be able to win this game, they have to see the Night Stalker and Tusk provide a lot of momentum in the first 10 minutes of this game.
I mean, I just like Nyx as a hero in general, and especially when you pair it against heroes like the Nyx Assassin, or when you pair it against heroes like the Leshrac, or the Clinks especially. Like, if you can kind of follow the Clinks around the map, kind of tail him, make sure that he doesn't gain momentum, and that's your only goal in the game, you get 1 or 2 mana burns off. Yeah. You've kind of done your job already as the hero. I think the biggest thing for me personally is just whether or not they can actually utilize it, because a lot of the times when you get behind on this hero, it kind of feels like a dead hero because the enemy team has sentries. When they push and they go for the 5-man, they neutralize the threat of the Nyx by just kind of playing around his ultimate. And then it truly just does become, you stun once, you hope for a spiked Carapace is 4, and then that's all the hero really contributes. The one thing that they do lack is reliable stuns. I guess the Ember Spirit chains for a high-level player is sort of reliable.
What do you think about the choice of MVP picking up the Leshrac? I remember us talking about it in 6.84, and especially with the way that Leshracs are typically going the maxed out Lightning, maybe that changes now, and maybe we see more Diabolic Edict, but it seemed like Leshrac didn't actually do as well as some people thought against Templar Assassin.
Well, in the past, the Lightning Storm was just the best ability in Dota 2. So no matter what you played against, it didn't really matter. Like the 4-second cooldown, you would be able to farm and harass with it. But if you decide to go for the Edict build, it's okay. Like Edict didn't really change. It was really just the Lightning. It's just kind of hard to land when the TA is standing in the middle of a creep wave.
Right.
And it's not really reliable harass because you can't really chase very far with it.
All right, looks like console commands all fixed up, and MVP are ready to go. So we're going to see Cloud9 center up. Looks like they're going to be heading towards the bottom rune. Our Nyx Assassin, I was wondering if we're going to see a double Mango build like we saw yesterday from Team Secret, but just one Mango, Stout Shield, of course. The Nyx Assassin with that high base regen will have a good chance of being able to keep himself alive in this lane. He's going up against a Disruptor and Clinks. I actually want to fall back and talk about the Disruptor pick a little bit. We've actually had some conversations about Disruptor, a hero who needs to be played offensively, doesn't really have too many defensive capabilities. Just seems unlikely you're going to get a really good Kinetic Field Static Storm combination when you're being initiated on. I think that, again, puts more credence in the fact that the Night Stalker and Tusk really have to make a lot of space for MVP Phoenix and set this snowball rolling for them, both metaphorically and literally.
I mean, we've known for a really long time that MVP Phoenix is a team that 5-mans in general.
Yeah.
And Disruptor kind of fits their playstyle. I think more Disruptor kind of becomes useless because Glimpse as an ability is what makes him so good, right? But if you're playing from behind all the time, Glimpse doesn't really do anything. Like sometimes you can prevent kills from happening, but for the most part, it's a largely defensive measure. And there are better defensive heroes out there, like the Shadow Demon or the Dazzle even.
All right, the Battle Rune being picked up by both the mids. Nothing too surprising here. The Clinks actually has a Mango. Of course, Clinks being one of probably the more mana-dependent heroes. Once you get to level 6, you're going to run out of mana pretty quickly. Constantly death-pacting creeps, and it's where the Clinks really wants to go. Is this Clinks going to be doing, like, remember the old Eternal Envy, when he would pick up Clinks, he would oftentimes spend time in the enemy jungle. Do you think that he does that kind of, like, offensive play for MVP Phoenix and tries to put pressure early on?
Yeah, he wants to put as much pressure on top of the supports as much as possible. Like if you look at a hero like Venomancer or Ancient Apparition, how do they actually survive if the Clinks decides to go on them?
Right. Kind of same deal with the Night Stalker, right? Like they don't really have a whole lot of defensive capabilities, especially if the silence goes down before like the Venom can hit his slow. But especially the Clinks, who doesn't even need to move. He could just sit there and the movement speed won't really do much because he'll like 3 or 4 shot the Venom.
Yeah, exactly. Like AA and Veno, it's so miserable sometimes playing against those stealth heroes.
Yeah.
Or the ones that can just instantly burst you down. Imagine if you're a Veno and a Clinks comes at you death pacted with a Solar Crest. What are you actually supposed to do against that? Same with an AA.
Yeah.
Probably even more so for the Ancient Apparition.
Yeah, because he doesn't even have the opportunity to like hit a slow and maybe run out of range. He's just going to be run down pretty quickly. As we're looking into things, what do you see this game? 15 minutes. Do you think that the laning phase is actually going to go well for Cloud9, the TA versus the Leshrac? They've got a defensive tri-lane around their Ember Spirit. It seems like it all comes down to this middle lane, and there's a lot more roaming potential for MVP Phoenix, that's for sure.
It's a little surprising to me that Phoenix Kyo's actually decided to go for the Magic Wand against the Templar Assassin. I guess you use Refraction a few times, but the mana cost of it is so high that maybe max by the end of the laning phase he gets like 8 charges.
Yeah.
That's a pretty curious decision not to go for the Null Talisman there.
All right. Looks like both teams, well, Cloud9 actually, trying to help out MVP Phoenix through their console troubles.
They're friendly guys.
Yeah.
They want to help out.
We want a very fair competition, as this is an elimination match between these two teams.
All right, so MVP Phoenix, yeah, you want to be able to 5-man early, but most importantly, you just want to kind of make sure that C9 doesn't get to set up tempo.
Right.
I feel like if C9 can just execute their game plan, they should be able to win, but I don't know. I sort of disagree with the panel. I like MVP Phoenix's lineup a lot. But MVP Phoenix, they just haven't looked really comfortable.
Yeah.
I saw their series. I actually casted it against Secret,
Mhm.
where they made a lot of uncharacteristic solo
yeah.
players.
They did not perform, I would say, very well at all. Where I felt like a lot more confident about Cloud9, like, yeah, they lost, but watching their game, I felt like they at least showcase certain amounts of strength, and that they could have actually, won that series. But
I mean, they took CDEC to 3 games.
yeah.
And at the same time, the third game, they looked pretty good doing it.
I do agree with you that I really did not like MVP Phoenix's draft up until the last pick Clinks. I really like that one. But do you actually, is there a chance? We've seen a lot of Desolator builds on Clinks as well as Templar Assassin. Teams are trying to take advantage of that cheap, very cost-effective damage item. But the Orchid is something that Clinks is used to build, and it would be really valuable against the Ember Spirit in particular. Maybe not necessarily some of the other heroes, but particularly the Ember Spirit. Do you think there is any credence to that build anymore, or is it just always the Desolator?
I think you go for the Deso or the Solar Crest this game because if you take a look at C9's heroes, Ember Spirit has no armor. He has 1 base. Venomancer and Ancient Apparition just don't really have HP or armor pulls to back them up. And Nyx Assassin actually has decent armor. He's got 3 on him. So things are kind of okay. But still, I feel like going for the negative armor overall is a lot safer.
Yeah.
You go for the Orchid and you're behind it all with the Clinks, your hero just feels useless. Whereas if you go for the Deso or the Solar Crest, Roshan is probably the biggest thing that you can get away with. You can pretty much solo Roshan or just with the help of one other hero. Like they've got a Tusk on their team. Frozen Sigil level 2, you grab a Solar Crest or a Deso, do it really easily.
Are you a bit concerned about Cloud9's lack of initiation? Because they really only have, like, they have all this potential great team fight setup, the Venomancer, Ancient Apparition, like, that's a great combination. The Ember Spirit sits farther in the back. The Templar Assassin, while she does sometimes initiate with a Blink Dagger and just tries to blow up one hero real quickly, she doesn't offer any disables, so it seems less likely that we're able to have our support duo get a really good follow-up. It seems everything is kind of on the Nyx Assassin to pick up that Blink Dagger and be the initiator for Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said too, right? Is that you've got the Sleight of Fist, and that's okay, but it's an ability that you want to use when you're ahead, right? To be able to Sleight of Fist chains. But game starts. I can't remember. He said he didn't care. He's like, it's 50-50 for me. Savage or SVG. He actually said whatever's easier for the play-by-play.
Oh, yeah, his name?
Yeah.
I gotcha. I kind of like Savage just in certain scenarios. You know, great team fight. Nyx Assassin. Both the offlaners having to deal with very harassive supports. The Venomancer on one side, the Disruptor on the other. Of course, the Disruptor really high value with that level 1 Thunderstrike, just spamming it out against a Nyx Assassin. You can't really even, like, even if he does get level 2, can't use that Spike Carapace very well against the Thunderstrike, as its damage is pretty well split.
It's so annoying to play against too. Like the cooldown on it is incredibly low. The mana cost, I guess, is okay, but
middle lane, Brax is actually having to deal with the Diabolic Eating. Nice dodge of the stun there. Brax playing that beautifully as Febby came in with the gank and actually got a really good Ice Shards block, but all it results in is just a bit of harassment, nothing more.
They're making sure that Kyo has a better game than he did yesterday, and I think that's the right idea.
Yeah.
You're noticing that he just spams out the right clicks on him, and he is opting to go for the Diabolic Edict.
Do you think this is the right build? Do you really think that Lightning has been nerfed enough that it's just not as viable?
Yeah. Like late game, the hero is still kind of similar. Obviously, the damage has been kind of nerfed out, but when you're just pulse novaing down everything, it doesn't really make that big of a difference.
Right.
Like you don't feel it that much. It's just the laning phase. So if the Leshrac gets a little bit of help and does okay in the laning phase, then the hero does an okay job of recovering. And if you can make it to the late game with your usual set of items, then the patch nerf really doesn't feel that bad.
What do you think about the choice of the Magic Wand? I know you were talking about the Null Talisman, only 8 charges. Have you changed your mind about that?
No, because it's 2 minutes into the lane and he's only got 3 charges.
Yeah.
I feel like you're better served going other things. I guess you eventually need the wand, so it's okay, and you probably don't need the null as much. Maybe avoid getting intelligence for this Nyx.
Nyx managed to make most of the creep wave still come back to his tier 1 tower. Well, he'll be able to soak up some of that experience. Febby still putting pressure on the middle lane. Brax turns and fights him a bit. He does only have 1 bit. Oh, they're actually going to go on March here in the bottom lane. They slowed him down. They managed to get off the chains, and March, just the double slows there of the Venomancer, make sure that they easily run him down for the first blood.
Yeah, that was actually insane how slow he was. I thought for a second that March, I was like, okay, you just wait out a little bit of the Gale, and then you can get out, but 50% slow.
Immediately TP's back out to the bottom lane because the creep wave is, well, was in a decent position, but now with a pull coming out from Theban, 1437. That's going to rapidly go against him. Brax is going to be gone on by Febby. They managed to get another decent Ice Shards block out. QO is just running him down with that Diabolic Edict, which he does go to level 2, so no levels of lightning so far.
I do like that Theban is just kind of focusing on trying to get levels, and he's also going to stack up the jungle and be as efficient as possible. Getting that safe level 6 on the Ancient Apparition is going to be so key, because it means that he can just stay off the map a lot more and still contribute. Whereas, you know, if he's level 6 by the time, or before, if he's not level 6 by the time the Clinks gets decently farmed, then he's going to have such a rough time. Because he's not just going to be able to get on the map and safely gain XP.
The Haste Rune from Savage. He's trying to gank up. Now, they did kind of spot that out, but it looks like QO's still going to be caught here. Ice Shards actually blocks out. Brax can't get to him. Now the Snowball save as well, and Brax, he's in some serious trouble. He's going to be right-clicked down by that tower, and he does fall, and QO managed to survive. Great play from Febby there. The block out of the Ice Shards gave them enough time for him to be able to get the Snowball as well. And with Diabolic Edict, that's a lot of great synergy there. Him just being able to still dish out a lot of damage over time with the bits of explosions while still being protected by the Snowball.
Yeah, I actually can't believe they were able to turn that around, but really nice Snowball timing by Febby. And this is a guy, I mean, we've seen him do it all the time throughout this entire tournament and even at TI, where he's just kind of that space creator for QO, where he comes into the mid lane, makes things as annoying as possible for the enemy mid laner.
It seems like they had that all planned out, because I was really curious. They had this ward, and they spotted out the Venomancer, I'm sure, with a Haste Rune and everything. And I was just really surprised that they were willing to get that close, but it seemed they felt very confident about their chances of turning it around. It works out for them beautifully, 1-1 so far. Cloud9 do have both supports still sitting in this middle lane. Perhaps waiting some aggression from the Tusk. I mean, he's already shown himself capable of going on to Brax even close to that tier 1 tower, so potentially the supports could take advantage of that, but it doesn't seem like Febby is going to go for it. Not yet, anyway. They do have this aggressive mid ward that kind of helps them out. And they also have the block out of the Ancients from earlier.
I love that they decided to do that, by the way, just to make sure that Brax can't get back into the game. Typically, if the Templar Assassin dies there, she can just go to one of 2 stacks, like either the Ancients or one of the big camp stacks. But because it's been blocked out, and C9 realized that now, that it wasn't just a sentry, that it was the other one as well. And Brax is actually going to get gone on here, and
they're really going to go for this one. The Ice Shard seems to go long enough, and they're going to go on to him. Brax is all that damage over time from the Diabolic Edict, which is level 3. Nice stun up, and good stun follow-up. That's going to keep the Leshrac in place. Looks like Brax is going to be able to slip himself away, but the Nyx Assassin, not as lucky. The stun misses, but there is still, of course, the shining lights of Pulse Nova to finish him off. But now we have the Ember Spirit. Oh, sent back by the Glimpse. Unfortunately, couldn't get off a Remnant. Now 1437 is going to be gone on as he expected the Ember Spirit to help him out. But as he gets sent back by Heen, QO picks up the double kill.
I almost think they could have killed the Ember. He was out of mana. His Flame Guard was on cooldown too. All he really had was maybe the chains, but even then, I kind of think Ritsu regrets that decision. Probably should have just continued to go for farm, which is what the Clinks did during that time, but now he's going to come to this bottom lane. It is nighttime. March is 1 level of the silence, and this should be an easy kill.
As you said, the low armor on the Ember Spirit, he's just so susceptible to that physical damage, and they have this Night Stalker, which I feel like we saw it in the series before, in yesterday's series, that the Night Stalker is a really great counter pick to the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, he actually just ripped him apart. I like the decision of the Clinks a lot, actually. Like, I know that you seem to focus on it as the centerpiece of MVP Phoenix's draft, and you're really seeing it just pay off almost immediately there.
And now he's going to be spending a lot of his time in the jungle. In fact, he's going to be scouting out some of these stacks, which maybe they're going to use for the Ember Spirit or Templar Assassin to clear through. It'd be nice if they could actually get the Templar Assassin clearing through stacks in their jungle, because the Ancient Apparition would be relatively safe in the middle lane, but as you can see, when 3 heroes dive your tier 1 tower, nothing's safe for any support. So MVP pick up yet another kill and force Brax back in the lane.
And this is what we are concerned about, is that Ancient Apparition, when you just try to soak XP, what can you do? Look at C9's lineup. They don't have the best counter initiation in the game. They can't really send a hero or 2 over in case it's a 4v5 fight. This Nyx Assassin just has to get his level 6, but the way that things are going right now, it's going to be MVP Phoenix that are going to be the ones initiating repeatedly.
Right.
And then you can take away the power of the Nyx there. Look how much Q has in farm already. He's got the point booster, 400 gold. He's going to farm up this giant stack. He's got 2 kills.
Is Bloodstone still the item for Leshrac? It seems like a couple of heroes have stopped going for that. Oh, the Chains actually misses there. March putting himself in the jungle. Now he can TP out as the Chains is on cooldown, but it looks like they actually want to go for the kill here on a Savage. Will be able to get him, and the snowball save, very beautiful. Once again from Febby. March, right click. Oh, he turns around, goes to silence. No miss percentage chance there, but the Nyx Assassin will die as he was silenced up, unable to get off the Vendetta. In the meantime, QO, he ends up getting the kill on Brax and dying immediately after, as once again there's engagements on all sides of the map.
Still a worthwhile trade. Brax gets the killing spree, I think, but you would want the XP at this point when you're already behind.
Right.
And you've died twice. But overall, good trades by MVP. You lose the Leshrac and the Night Stalker, but you gain some just off of the aggression right now. The pace of the game is definitely in their favor. And you're already seeing the Medallion of Courage almost completed on Dagger, aka MP.
Yeah, this Febby's ganks have paid off so well. The fact that he's level 6 by about 10 minutes in, Dagger does get spotted out, but they have no more counter vision to actually catch him. But he's already got Arcane Boots plus level 6, so you have that additional stun, which you're going to see put to use right here against the Ember Spirit. He has a Remnant, jumps away. Dagger's actually low enough, he can go for that kill. And Ritsu might just turn around on Febby as well. Gets out a Remnant, a little bit extra damage, and right click for the double kill. They thought they had that one, but he wasn't level 6, and it seems like the physical damage of the Clinks wasn't good enough. Did he run out of like Death Pact in that scenario right as they went for the gank, or what?
I don't think so, because if you look at the timer on it, cooldown is still going off.
Yeah.
So I think it was more just the fact that he underestimated the amount of damage they could put out. March at top.
Oh, he didn't expect this one. 2 supports plus the Nyx Assassin. He knows he's dead. He's just going to try and help out QO, who comes in from the side, will be able to clean up that Venomancer. Doesn't go for more, though. 1437 didn't have anything left in the tank, but he chooses to make the safer play and back himself away in case the Nyx Assassin could kill him.
I guess your question, too, was whether or not you go for the Bloodstone. I still think it's really good because the Nyx, the mana burn, depends less on the overall mana pool that you have, and it's entirely based on the int you have. And the Bloodstone doesn't actually give you intelligence. So it just makes you tanky for free, essentially.
Yeah. What would be the other item that Leshracs go for as their first? Is it Yule's?
Yeah, but I don't think it's
But that also got
necessary.
nerfed, yeah.
You just need to tank up if you're QO. Get a BKB early on. Just play defensively, and
is this going to
the
be
Nyx
enough?
coming
This
in.
is a little bit of downside that QO doesn't have any mana, as MSS may not. Well, he actually doesn't have mana burn yet. I didn't even notice that, but as is, the Ice Blast will miss. They kind of expected him to go for the hard camp farm, but he's actually heading back to base. The Snowball comes out. They're going to go for this kill with Heen joining Febby there to lock him down. Will be able to get away. No, the Vendetta actually finished him off now with the Ember Spirit as well. They get both of those kills as once again, they try and go on a hero, but just not bringing enough to the table to finish him off, and the turnaround works the way of Cloud9.
yeah, luckily for them, the Leshrac is still pretty farm, but after that solo double kill that Ritsu was able to get, and the amount of free farm that he's had, he's actually leading the net worth charts. And Brax has actually done an okay job of catching up. He's only 300 gold behind the Clinks, so he's done just fine for himself overall.
Yeah, especially since the Clinks did get an additional pickoff at the top lane, got the Ancient Apparition.
Yeah, they're getting decent trades all over the map. C9, every single time that I feel like MVP is starting to pull ahead a little bit, they're just right there with them.
And now we see the power of that maxed out Diabolic Edict so early. Leshrac pretty much single-handedly taking down tier 1 towers. The Ember Spirit has finished up the Boots of Travel. There's a lot of fighting. We've got 19 kills in the first 12.5 minutes. Well, we'll wait for this potential kill. MSS, you don't want to show yourself right now, friend.
This is so much info. If they could actually just get a lot of people into position right now, as Ritsu does not have Boots of Travel actually for another 25 seconds. There's no reason to take that fight without him. They're just going to circle around, make sure that MVP don't get anything out of this.
Looks like they're going to go for Roshan. So while they do that, so let's talk about the build of the Ember Spirit, the Boots of Travel versus the more stat-focused, like, phase boots drums. In this game, there seems to be a lot of aggression, which I would kind of expect the stat-focused builds. Why do you think he chose to go Boots of Travel?
It's just Ritsu's style, being able to farm out, be as efficient as possible on the map. He still looks like he wants to go for the drums, which I think is the right idea. You go for the Boots of Travel, and then you get the drums, and Assassin actually picks up a kill on Heen.
Yeah, a bit of space by Heen in a way. He was setting down some aggressive vision earlier and kind of gets caught on his way back. Fortunately, his ward is not spotted out by that counter, so really great positioning there. And they also still have this aggressive laning ward from taking the tier 1 tower much earlier. This does kind of mean that their vision is centralized in a very aggressive position. And if Cloud9 manages to take control in the next like minute and a half, they'll actually be in a really great position just because MVP Phoenix won't have any vision to see their movement.
Yeah, this Disruptor level 6 is pretty big though. You've got an Ancient Apparition though that's just kind of farming along the map. Unfortunately for MVP, nobody's really in position quite yet for him. And this is the dangerous thing about Theben playing this Ancient Apparition is because he doesn't really know where people are, but he's just setting up sentry traps around the map to make sure that they've got maximum coverage.
Right.
So somebody doesn't just come in and gank, but MVP Phoenix, they're going to go for the gank on Brax here actually.
3-man smoke up, Savage. Throw out a counter ward to start things off, but don't manage to catch it. Looks like they do get Brax, and again, the Diabolic Edict just rips through the Templar Assassin time and time again. And now that he's actually got a decent amount of tank with that Soul Booster and soon to be Bloodstone, QO doesn't really have any worries about challenging the Templar Assassin. That physical damage just won't be enough to match the burst potential of the Leshrac.
Yeah, and Brax is going to go for the Deso build, try to do as much burst damage as he can on his own. And if your head is so strong, like Deso, negative armor, things like that, you can play so aggressively with it, but when you're a TA that has, what, 900 to 1,000 HP, and you're just getting chased down by a Diabolic Edict plus the Pulse Nova, you're not going to survive.
Yeah. Nice aggressive ward from MVP Phoenix, now on the top side of things. Pretty classic Cliff ward, and looks like they're going to center up on this tier 1 tower, true to MVP Phoenix playstyle. A lot of 5-manning so far, especially after a couple of times where they go for that aggressive play with only 2 or 3 heroes and get rebuffed pretty soundly. It seems a very good idea for them to just 5-man.
Yeah, I think if you're, especially with this Aegis, you want to try to play as aggressively as possible right now to make sure that it's so difficult for C9 to fight into you, but I mean, all C9 are doing right now is they're trying to create as much space as they can.
I don't know.
And make sure that Ritsu's just farming
what
during
happened
this
to my
time.
co-caster sound, but it's gone now in my in-ears. Oh, Dagger's actually spotted out as he runs through counter ward, but the damage is just too much. Ritsu is going to bounce back with a Remnant, try to challenge the Clinks, but with the death pack still going, he's good.
All right, so this Ember though, it's really hard to kill him at this point when he's this mobile and he's got this amount of farm. You pretty much just have to rely on being able to kill the other heroes. Like this Ancient Apparition though, is he even worth ganking? He's got 1,500 net worth. You don't actually even get anything out of that.
Top lane, looks like we're going to see perhaps a fight here with QO. The Bloodstone, he's got the Aegis. And if they actually get the right kind of pickoff, they can easily just push down the tier 2 tower. Maybe they can challenge the tier 2 without a pickoff, just using that Aegis advantage. In the meantime, they're making a lot of space for the Clinks. He can push out middle lane. You got Marge farming up the bottom lane right now. And he's actually got a Animitis. Oh, Dagger's actually going to go and just 3-shot Savage and will be able to TP out before there's any response. No, the stun actually comes in from MSS, and Dagger will be taken out because of that. The rest of Cloud9 happy with the trade-off.
That low ground stun by MSS was so clutch. You don't want to just be able to give up one hero and then get traded out. You want to make sure that the Clinks will die for something like that. And he's got a decent amount of farm the Clinks. He's still going to be able to pick up the Deso in short order, but you want to slow down his momentum if you can. And MVP, I mean, they got a lot of heroes mid. All you have to do to make it impossible from the glimpse is just send your spirit really far back.
March is level 11 already. It's pretty good progression on this offlaner Night Stalker. So he's going to continue to stay very relevant. That was obviously something that our panel was kind of bringing up. The Night Stalker, a little bit hit and miss as an offlaner, and this game definitely seems to be a big hit for him.
Yeah, that silence has been so effective overall. He has died 4 times, but I think that's more just the product that he's the first one in, last one out.
Right.
And you're usually not going to get out when you're playing against an Ancient Apparition Veno. If you get Galed, you're pretty much conceding that you're going to die.
All right, Cloud9. What is this aggressive maneuver by them? Meanwhile, you actually have QO, who picked up an Invis rune and is going to rotate around, and he may just get a very free pick off on the Venomancer. Obviously, if Ritsu, he has some remnants up, so he's unlikely to die, but QO starts with the Diabolic Edict and doesn't even bother throwing out the stun. He figures, whatever, who needs to hit that skill shot, just run him down.
And again, QO's just finding these pickoffs. It's the second time he's just kind of run into the TA and gotten a solo kill on him. Luckily for Brax, I think he finished the Venomancer. Sorry, for some reason I was just like, Brax? But I had him selected. But Brax has his Deso now, and this is actually going to help a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to help with the burst damage onto the Leshrac, because MSS's mana burn doesn't do that much, but when you've got a hero like the Templar Assassin that can just get in there and right-click you once with the the melted as well. Like, if you notice his armor cap, he's only got 9. That's not that much. So it's going to be physical damage is the way that you're going to take him down, and hopefully maybe an AA Ice Blast is the finisher.
And there's a lot of split pushing potential as well with that Desolator, right? That's something we've seen from Templar's Assassins when they don't actually have the mid-game power yet, that they can just split push this game. Of course, it's a dangerous one for MVP Phoenix. They have a lot of catch.
Yeah, it's not easy to split push without the Blink Dagger too.
Right.
When you're playing against the Disruptor, you want to be able to blink onto the high ground and make sure that there's no way that he can go for the glimpse on you.
There's the Desolator for Clinks. Of course, that is after he already has the Ring of Aquila as well as Medallion.
He's got so much damage right now. He should be able to kill most of the heroes that C9 have.
Yeah, he's hitting for over 250 a shot, plus the minus armor coming in. Nope, the MSS, he gets caught, runs right into the counter ward, just placed by Heen.
Look how quickly he
ripped
ties.
him a new one.
This Ember Spirit is really going to be the centerpiece right now for C9, because the rest of their lineup is going to struggle. Like, they're incredibly squishy if you look at their lineup.
Yeah.
Ancient Apparition, Nyx is okay. It's kind of deceptive. Templar Assassin and Veno are pretty hard to keep alive, but Leshrac comes in with a Blink Dagger, and I like this decision. Just try to get on top of heroes as aggressively as possible. Make sure that the Templar Assassin is already playing defensively from the get-go.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like there's any real need to tank up further, just because you're in a really great spot. MVP are controlling the game. Some at Cloud9 are a little bit shut down, so it just doesn't seem like they have enough damage to threaten the Leshrac fast enough. So if he can afford to build more aggressively, why not?
All right, so the Slash, probably if I were QO, I would probably get a BKB now to measure your impact, so when you blink in, you don't just immediately get bursted down. Even a Shiva's, I guess, would be okay for that.
Yeah, there's the mana burn, there's the Venomancer ultimate, Ancient Apparition ultimate. There's a lot of things that BKB will be helpful for, even if you do get initiated on. That damage over time from the 2 supports can actually be mitigated quite nicely by those first couple of BKB durations.
It looks like C9 are actually just kind of conceding the box tower. They don't have the best vision, I guess, on the south side of the map. They've got that one ward in the entrance, but aside from that, you don't quite know where their positioning is for the fight, so giving it up is probably okay. And Brax, meanwhile, at top is doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, that Desolator coming into play. If they could actually get the trade-off, that would be great, but MVP Phoenix are going to be here soon. The Tier 2 tower does go down, but Walrus Punch, oh, Brax gets caught. Beautiful setup from Febby there. QO is actually going to be saved by the snowball to make sure there's no turnaround kill, as Brax was focusing him down quite quickly. And perhaps, I don't know, is there, you're looking at that physical damage from the Templar Assassin, and that was actually pretty crazy. I didn't expect that much. I really do agree with BKB, but does he also maybe consider an armor item? Like maybe just a luxury, like just
Casual plate mail.
casual plate mail, exactly, to go into the Shivas later?
I think it's okay if you decide to go for it.
Yeah.
The tanking factor plays a large part on whether or not Leshrac can be effective. Like you saw at top, the Templar Assassin gets gone on by 4 heroes, and he still almost takes down the Leshrac with just about 1 or 2 right clicks. And now that the TA has a Blink Dagger too, this gets even easier for him. But QO, he's probably going to go and get the Aegis at some point. So defensive items aren't as necessary, but he's just going to get another kill.
Up to 12 Bloodstone charges. And at this rate, we may even see QO get close to that instant respawn, which he may be able to take advantage of with his travels that he already has. We'll take away some vision away from Cloud9 and go for the Roshan as you suggested. So
No reason not to at this point. Like, you have a Blink Dagger, you've got a Leshrac on your team, you've got a hero like Clinks that wants to get aggressive, and if Cloud9 happen to 5-man, then the impact of your heroes is going to be negated, but you can just kind of safely push once you get this Aegis. Kyo's got a lot of money though, 2,700 gold. I would like to see the BKB personally. I think if you have that Blink Dagger, you want to have something that can follow up with you.
right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's... Then again, I almost like the fact you said you don't necessarily have to go for the defensive items, right? Because you have that Aegis. If I look at it that way, then maybe there's more credence to just like, if you have this amount of gold, like just go straight Shivas or something.
Yeah,
And
I
they get the
think so.
BKB afterwards.
Shivas, because Shivas works as a defensive item for you too.
Yeah, and it also serves quite nicely with the Blink Dagger. You know, pop the Shivas, jump in, you have that big AoE slow. Make sure that nobody can really escape from your rainbow dancing poniness.
All right, you've now hit the part where Leshrac is normal, so he's the scariest hero in Dota 2 again. Like the lightning isn't nearly as good, and you see Q actually just skip it entirely to go for stats.
I can see, like, especially because the Diabolic Edict builds and you're so dependent on Pulse Nova, tankiness is, you know, kind of next to godliness at this point in time. Brax, oh no, that's just too much damage. Nice 5-man Ice Blast, but what does it really matter if you can't actually fight afterwards?
Leshrac is just a beast right now. There's not a whole lot that can kill him. I think Brax needs a BKB more than QO does by far.
Oh yeah, you can see he's already building into it. Has the Ogre Club, but at this rate, it seems MVP Phoenix are going to be forcing fights with the Aegis, so we won't see a BKB before the rest of these Tier 2 towers go down, at the very least. In fact, MVP Phoenix may even, if they take these Tier 2s with ease without, you know, a team fight from Cloud9, they may even try and push uphill and see if they can force the team fight there.
I mean, they have a lot of high ground potential. You've got heroes like Clinks that, when he has the Deso in the Death Pack, he's tanky and he rips through the towers. And you've got a Leshrac with an Aegis. Like, look how much damage he does to that Tier 2 mid. But the Ember Spirit, this is the huge hero for C9, because if he can just kind of keep things at bay for as long as possible, then it would slow down C9, or it would slow down MVP and give C9 some breathing room.
Ember Spirit down at the bottom lane, he's going to be cutting the creep wave. They know they're kind of in desperation mode. He's just trying to get everything he can, because they can really push out, at least not in the traditional ways, with MVP Phoenix clearly holding a very large advantage, especially with the Aegis in hand, and now the Gem plus Aghanim Scepter on the Night Stalker. There's no vision for them to work off of, and they're at a disadvantage when it comes to team fights.
I was talking to MSS, whose name is Kuroko, just about that anime name thing, and he's like, I was like, explain that, and he's like, Ritsu's the light, he's Kagami, and he's like, I'm Kuroko the dark. It's just like, come on, man.
Oh my
it's
god,
real
that's
hard
so
to
cheesy.
I know.
MSS, you know, I love you, you're my friend and everything, but you make it really hard for me to like you with that.
That almost surpasses the Moon Me and Her.
Yeah, that's
for the
pretty bad.
cheesiness award.
That's real bad.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
light and the dark.
Light and the dark. All right, Cloud9. They're smoked up, and I think they know their only real play right now. They're probably, if regular plays are just going to get choked out inside their base, right? Ember Spirit might be able to push out every once in a while, and maybe the Nyx Assassin can do something as well in that regard, but they kind of need to make some smoke plays.
Especially when it's daytime right now, and the Night Stalker's night is just about to come off cooldown. He's got the Aghanim Scepter upgrade too. It's really hard for C9 to fight into that. So they wanted to try to go for a pickoff before that point. Maybe slow down the momentum, but Kyo actually has the Octarine Core. We completely forgot about that item.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll be real nice. Just being able to go in there and dish out so much damage, but also get that spell steal back. Seems a little bit of shame that you just don't have that Lightning Storm and take advantage of the lower cooldown, but
The 1 second or the 3 second
great.
Lightning Storm.
Yeah.
That, I mean, what an unbelievable hero.
He's rapidly getting to the point, though. He's going to have Lightning Storm whether he likes it or not, just because he's such a high level.
Yeah, he's got the plate mail now too, and I like this decision. You're this far ahead, why not?
Yeah. They don't actually utilize the Aegis here. I was kind of expecting when they were showing up at that top lane that they would go for the tier 2 and immediately push uphill to try and use this extra life, but they're playing this a lot more patiently. They know how in control of the map that they are, and as Milk was saying earlier on the panel, Night Stalker is probably one of the best heroes to have in your arsenal when you're ahead like this, just because you stay ahead purely based on vision.
Yeah, and this Leshrac, I guess you have a Night Stalker so you don't have to get aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why bother? You've got an Aghanim Scepter, half the time it's going to be Night. He's got a Midas. Your Leshrac is scaling really well. The Clinks is not as high as you'd want him to be, but still 12k net worth relative to the game. He's second. So there's no real pressure for you to just kind of have to go for the high ground right now.
Yeah, that's kind of the danger, right, of pushing it late and choosing to try and control the map rather than push uphill, is that you opening opportunities for the defensive team to smoke up, you know, maybe get a pick off, you know, fight around Roshan, something like that. But when you have a Night Stalker on your team, you mitigate that potential so much. It's very unlikely that you're going to be surprised because there's no vision up. There's very unlikely that smokes are going to work out. Like if they run into the Night Stalker, especially during nighttime, they're not going to get him because he's going to see them first.
Oh, I actually think they maybe could have gotten that kill. Heen was in position, and that was his only remnant up.
But no glimpse to stop that TP, unfortunately. Ember Spirit just gets a bit more farm. He's got a Crystallis now. So he is rather dangerous to push uphill into, but the problem still going to be is that MVP don't really need to 5-man uphill. They can afford to just have the Clinks sitting there, right? Just beating down the tier 3 tower, and that's a lot harder for the Ember Spirit to deal with his Sleight of Fist spam. If it's 5 heroes, it's much easier because you have that Battle Fury and a lot more damage coming out from every Sleight of Fist. But this is going to be a Clinks that has a Solar Crest, is chipping down towers, tier 3 towers, incredibly quickly. And do they actually have any defensive? They don't have like a mech or anything on their team, which...
I mean, I would have really just liked to see the Clinks go for a BKB himself, so they could go for the high ground.
Okay.
I think the danger in going for the high ground is your Clinks, 2,000 HP looks nice, but you get Sleight of Fist once, you get hit by the Veno Gale, and then the Ancient Apparition ult comes in to finish you. Things get really dangerous at that point.
Do you think it's perhaps necessary that MVP, they're going to wait out the next Roshan, right? Do they give the Aegis to the Clinks and just give the Leshrac the cheese? So when you have that frontliner, if he is gone on like that they have that secondary life where MVP Phoenix are then able to mount a defense, counter-initiate around that second life, and have the Leshrac on the front lines with the cheese.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Leshrac, I guess, it's going to be a lot easier for him to go for the cheese, is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's got so much tank up. He's actually tanked up quite a bit. He's got 2,400 gold too. Just spamming out Edict as much as he can to farm, but the rest of the heroes on MVP Phoenix aren't too shabby either. The Disruptor's actually last in the game overall, but you kind of expect that when he's focused so much on warding. And they haven't actually gone for team fights.
If he does get an item, which would you prefer? Would you prefer the Blink Dagger, Force Staff, or the Ghost Scepter?
I think the Glimmer Cape, actually.
Oh, the Glimmer Cape, right. Yeah, against Ancient Apparition and Venomancer, that's a lot of value there.
Yeah, to be able to save your non-BKB cores at this point would be really huge.
They're watching QO right now, MSS. They're going to go for him. Oh, yeah, this is maybe actually the perfect kill. They're going to jump already with Brax. They follow up and slow down, and there's going to be too much. He can suicide in time, and that's going to be a mega kill streak. We were talking about it before, how this is the opportunity that arises when, yeah, you're kind of being shut out. You're locked inside your base, but the enemy team is spending more time farming than trying to push uphill and end the game. You do get those opportunities to push out, get a pick off, and they found it. Not running into the Night Stalker, getting the pick off on the Leshrac. Huge kill there for Cloud9.
I think with this next Roshan, Cloud9 should actually contest. Because you don't want to give up an Aegis and Cheese for free. You've got a BKB on Brax. Your Ember Spirit can really go to town if he gets 1 or 2 good grouped up heroes. And I don't know if you can afford to give up the Aegis and Cheese. Like, you're probably not killing one of these heroes twice before they take your base.
Yeah. They almost have the Aghanim Scepter on Savage. So, I mean, it really sucks that it's only a level 1 ultimate, but it's still an incredible amount of damage even at level 1. The problem's going to be is that they're not in position to take Roshan, while MVP Phoenix most definitely are, and it's only going to take them 5-6 seconds.
Yeah, it's actually going to go down so quickly, and this is an Aegis and Cheese. Q is actually going to be the one that takes that. March is going to be the cheese carrier. I think this is fine. You've got a Hex completed already on the Clinkstown too. So things get even more dangerous for that Ember Spirit. I guess it doesn't matter as much though when you're just playing high ground defense anyways and you're playing really far back and just sleight of fisting repeatedly.
But now a Scythe for the Clinks. So they could actually catch the Ember Spirit with just this Clinks now. Do you think he has enough damage? Scythe, Solar Crest, and just right-click down Ritsu by himself?
Yeah, you would have to do it really well though.
Yeah, they're gonna get Heen. Heen will add in the additional silence to make sure that the Ember Spirit does go down. Great pickup. And 70 seconds on the clock for MVP Phoenix to push uphill. They have the Aegis, they have the cheese on March actually. And they see their opportunity to finish this game 1 against Cloud9.
They do have the buyback on the Ember. Whether or not he chooses to use it is up to his discretion. I think he's probably going to wait, but he's one of the better ones at dealing with the high ground. You've got SVG though, that has that Aghanim Scepter and the Plague Wards. Like the Plague Wards don't do a lot of damage. It's just that they're so annoying to push against.
Yeah. Every single one of them getting that level 3 poison sting out.
Doink.
And oh, they get an itch. Oh, slowing down QO. Oh, glimpse back. MSS gonna have to run himself up. Now he does have, oh, the Shiva's gonna slow him down. So no opportunity for him to blink out. He just burns some of the mana of QO before he dies. But it looks like they'll have the Ember Spirit up. They won't have to buy back for him. But the Nyx Assassin doesn't actually have a buyback, so they may be forced to give up a lane Rex. They really need a good initiation from this Venomancer, but how are you gonna do it with your Nyx Assassin down? That blink stun initiation is no longer there for Cloud9.
This actually worked out really well for MVP because the Ember Spirit's still down, but he's just about to respawn in 5 seconds, so he doesn't want to buy back. This is going to mean Rax for sure. And they want to go for the bottom lane too. They know that there aren't a lot of Venom wards there. With the Nyx down, you've got so much momentum on the side of MVP Phoenix right now. Just send your high ground Aegis up.
With QO having that Octarine core, it's very likely, unless he's hit by the Ice Blast, it's very likely that he's going to be able to out-heal that Venomancer, Poison Nova. He's on the front lines hitting a bunch of people with his Pulse Nova. They're going to jump in, go straight for Brax. They're going to burn through their reflections so quickly and take him out. Meanwhile, the Venomancer does get a really great ultimate on the side with the Ice Blast as well. The Snowball group up, a 4-man stun. MSS lands that one beautifully as the Snowball ends up being MVP Phoenix's downfall, as now QO is trapped against 3 heroes, commits suicide, and MVP Phoenix, that should have been such a great setup for them, but the choice by Febby to snowball everyone in after hitting by that Venomancer ultimate ends up being such a bad play.
I just saw hero name pop up at once. Like, you can't really ask for better base defense there. You do lose a set of racks, but you can kind of just blame it on the Aegis and say it's sort of a wash.
Yeah.
And make sure that your Ember doesn't get picked off again.
Yeah, and you didn't have to buy back, so... Well, actually, I take that back. Brax bought back. But you kept your Ember Spirit by his buyback alive, and I think that's a pretty important factor. I think you would be willing to, at this point in the game, exchange a lane of racks almost to keep the Ember Spirit moving forward in items.
Oh yeah, for sure, because Brax, yeah, he's kind of farmed. He's got a BKB and a Deso and a Blink, but he still goes down relatively quickly. It really just comes down to whether or not your Ember Spirit can hold for as long as he can, using that Sleight of Fist repeatedly. And he's actually going to go for the Linken's build, yeah, which is completed shortly. Yeah, he's going to make sure he has buyback first, though.
We have, earlier I mentioned there was no mech on MVP. I'm not sure if maybe if I just missed it on Tusk or if he just bought the mech and now finished up the Guardian Greaves most recently.
I mean, are you waiting for me to verify that for you?
I am not, no, Blitz. I know you would have corrected me.
I was like, what else does Febby get? Come on, Cap. I guess Pipe, actually. Pipe would have been really good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm an idiot. Now I look like the foolish one. If he had
Serves you right.
the Guardian Greaves don't do a lot against the Ancient Apparition Blast.
Yeah, you can't remove Ice Blast or Poison Nova with Guardian Greaves Purge, so.
Yeah, my bad, Cap. The Pipe has a lot of merit.
All right. Looks like Ags are going to be built by Heen, but it seems much more likely that that MVP Phoenix will be able to finish out that game before the Aghanim Scepter is complete, or if Cloud9 make a comeback, the Disruptor won't ever be able to get the amount of farm to finish that item. But if he can get it, it would be rather nice. Potential to catch out Brax before the BKB is used. Obviously, just more damage, lock down maybe some of these supports.
All right, so they're gathered up again. They don't want to wait for the Aegis. And the Ember Spirit actually just bought out. So he's only going to have 1 life for this. But MVP, they're going to circle out, make sure that they can push around. The Roshan isn't up. I don't think there's a reason for them to fight without Aegis and Cheese. If you get 2 sets of racks, you're in a pretty unlosable situation with their lineup anyways.
Do you think the Linken's actually has enough value? Especially buying out for it?
I mean,
Because
Kyo can break it with lightning. I guess it stops the silence.
Yeah. There's the silence from the Night Stalker, and then there's the glimpse, right? Those are the 2 abilities that Linken's would actually be decently valuable against. But in a base defense scenario, I'm just not sure if that is actually going to be... Like, I don't see glimpse actually being able to catch you out, obviously, if you're playing base defense. And then the Night Stalker silence is then the only one you have to worry about.
I think it's less about that and more about the fact that when he goes to the split push, the Clinks has a high amount of burst damage. Like, just with the Hex and all of his negative armor, he could probably kill you.
Oh, right. I forgot about the sacrifice. That's a good point.
So it just secures that he can't really jump on you for free.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
It's less about the base damage potential and more that you need to continue to snowball and farm, and that's one way to do it.
Oh, Cloud9. Talking about base defense. But we're going to have a real tower defense on our hands soon with the Aghanims about to be complete for MSS. So we're going to see that Burrow in action, especially against a hero like Leshrac. That long range of the mana burn and the spam out from that. That's going to be a really good way to deal with the uphill push of MVP Phoenix.
If you get an armlet on your Nyx Assassin, you actually out-heal the burn, if you remember from when AOC.
Oh, yeah. Your percentage-based heal over time from the Burrow outdoes the armlet.
What an ability. It's so clowny looking.
Yeah.
You're just a stationary target, and you'd think that it'd be useless, because you're just completely stationary. But it kind of weirdly works out for you.
Yeah, especially with the buff in the last patch. It's now up to, I believe, 75% increase in range for both Impale and Mana Burn, as opposed to the 50% it was before.
Alright, so MVP Phoenix are probably just waiting on the next Roshan, like we said. There's no reason for them to have to go for anything. This Ember's probably just going to try to farm out buyback as fast as he can. And that's probably the only 2 things that are going to be able to save them. Is just buybacks on everybody and hopefully a really, really strong initiation by MSS again. It was less of an initiation and more just the gift wrapped.
Yeah, it really was. What do you go queue up? Next item. Like you're almost maxing out here.
I mean, you kind of are already. I guess you can ditch the point for, I'm trying to think right now, maybe a Hex even. Yeah. Doesn't quite matter though. Again, pretty much 6-slotted with 2 BKBs on the side of MVP Phoenix. At this point, the next step is just Roshan. You've got a really safe way to go up high ground with those BKBs, and that's almost going to be a guaranteed Rax as long as MVP don't get over eager trying to go for dives or kills.
Yeah.
Like, have the objectives in mind.
So you know you're rich. You've even got the Vlads now on the Night Stalker. Just to increase their uphill damage. Oh, the catch out with a Blink Dagger. They managed to get the combination off, and Ritsu should be going down here as the silence of the Disruptor, then coupled with the silence of March, they easily lock him down, and they're going to be able to force a buyback off of that.
Yeah, this maneuver is just meant to try to force a buyback if they possibly can. But it looks like MVP Phoenix, they don't really want to go for this quite yet. Again, there's no reason to. All you have to do is keep resetting Ritsu's gold like this to make it hard for him to really fight.
It would be dangerous if they pushed uphill, fought into a buyback. If they lose that fight, they could give up Roshan, and then them forcing the buyback not only is it not worth it because you've lost that fight, right? But then he gets that secondary life off of the Aegis. So probably a better idea just to wait out Roshan for now.
All right, so what do you really need? I guess the Clinks could get another item, maybe even a Daedalus or an MKB if he's afraid of something like that. But look at Mark or Dagger at top.
Forced to pop the BKB, but they're rapidly eating through the tier 3 tower in the top lane.
That's a force glyph.
And MVP will actually back out. Check out Roshan. It's a pretty late Roshan though, so it's still gonna be another 30 seconds. And maybe Cloud9, are they gonna smoke up and push out? And they have to know that this is exactly what MVP Phoenix are doing, but maybe they just don't expect to be able to get there in time. Oh, nope, there it is, the 5-man smoke. They're gonna push out now.
Yeah, they use the buyback on the Ember Spirit. You don't want to just play defensively with this hero anymore. There's no reason to. If he gets caught out, the game ends anyways.
Yeah.
So you might as well just kind of force the issue. Like, double BKB, Aegis cheese. How do you actually stop a Rax from being taken?
It's so fortuitous for them that Roshan wasn't up yet. Because I really think MVP Phoenix would have taken it like a good 15 seconds ago with their damage, but
C9's going to walk in.
But maybe
Roshan's
this isn't
actually
going
up.
to be as good as for Cloud9 as I thought. Is they go into the Roshan pit, but MVP haven't started doing it yet. In fact, it's going to be MVP doing the 5-man smoke wraparound. And if they catch Cloud9, especially still in this area, it's going to be a hard position for Cloud9 to be able to defend. Their top lane is being pushed out, and they actually TP the Ember Spirit. Of course, Savage is going to be gone on already. Q1 managed to slow him down with the Shivas. They get off the ultimate and lands on 2. Dagger on the front lines, fighting up against Brax. They throw down the global silence there, but it's still going to be an issue for Brax. As soon as that BKB goes down, he just gets ripped apart by the right clicks of the Clinks. Now 1-4-3-7 hit by the Snowball. He'll go down as well, and geez. That stun once again coming out from the Nyx Assassin. Doesn't really seem to matter, though. MVP easily winning the fight, not even bothering with Roshan.
Yeah, they realize there's no point anymore. The Ember Spirit's dead for so long. Brax is going to buy back and make one last go of it, but without the Ember Spirit in the game, things are really tricky for you as they nearly all have full HP.
Yeah, there's not even much sense on buying back on the Venomancer if you don't have that ultimate. Snowball in, 1-4-3-7 is going to be taken out, so now he's down for a full minute. Nyx Assassin being run down by March, turn around, but no, GG call is out. Cloud9 know there's no more defense to be had.
Yeah, without your Ember Spirit, once he gets picked off like that, there's zero chance that you're going to take that fight.
Yeah.
You pretty much just call the game right there. Brax buys back, but then your AA dies. You know, the writing's on the wall. The Ember Spirit is still dead. Like, it's still ticking down. You're not holding anything with that.
And MVP Phoenix, I mean, I really wasn't impressed with their play yesterday, but it seems like they're in a much better position today. I felt like their play was very clean, that they gained an advantage and they played it very patiently. There was never really any play there that I felt like, oh, they're throwing it away or something like that. They always made sure that they secured their advantage even further.
I mean, they just played objective-based Dota. Every single time that they could go for a push, they made sure that they had the Aegis and the cheese, or just the Aegis alone. Their item progression made sense too. Eventually, they did pick up the BKBs, and this was just a really nice draft. Like you thought. I mean, I think the Clinks really rounded it out and made it so that they had a high ground hero, something that could pick off supports and make C9 play really defensively. And I mean, C9's lineup, they just didn't really have any frontliners.
Yeah. So that's it for game number 1. MVP Phoenix have that 1 game advantage going into game 2. See if they can clean it out 2-0 and see what our analysts think about Cloud9's chances of coming back.
Thank you so much, Captain Blitz. Gentlemen, we went into this game 1 confident that Cloud9 got the draft they were asking for, but wouldn't you believe it, MVP, they go for the Disco Pony and it works out well for them.
Completely different team than we saw yesterday. I was surprised to see that the lineup even came together as well as it did. I didn't think they, after seeing them yesterday, I didn't think they had the level to execute that strategy, and they just did. I hats off to Febi's ice shots early on in the game. They were just on point every time into fog. He wasn't even like, there's no target click or anything. He just anticipated the small gaps that they would go into. They got TA on it. They got Nyx Assassin on it several times. He really made or break the early game for Q on the Leshrac because he wasn't really farming much, but he got those kills and that was enough to get him going.
Yeah, I mean, to me, 2 points, okay? So first of all, warm-up game, guys. We saw this from Monkey Business yesterday. They looked a little bit suspect in their first game. Again, maybe a little better opponent there in EG, but I think there were some nerves from C9 because you saw a lot of little mistakes in the early game that I felt really added up. You saw SVG come in early with his Veno for that mid lane gank. Brax really underestimating the damage output of the Edict build. Leshrac on his TA ended up giving up an early kill there. You saw not contesting the first Roche. I thought was a really big mistake out of C9. MSS had been in Vendetta. He had vision of all 5 of the MVP heroes in the Radiant jungle. They moved up to Roche. C9 had to have pretty good information about what they were doing. They chose not to contest, and in this patch, the team that gets the first Roche has a 77% win rate. That's actually up from previous patches. So I thought that was a big error. This is a style of play that C9 is comfortable playing. They come into this event, they have the longest average match time of any team, just over 47 minutes, but good teams are gonna punish you for being behind, and they just gave up a few too many kills as the game went on.
Yeah, I see valid points with both of you. I mean, MVP, this is certainly the best we've seen them this tournament so far, but there are big moments right there we saw from C9 with like 30, 35 minutes in, huge defense from them. You could see the synergy of their lineup working there, but overall, it didn't work out at the start. So we'll have to see, gentlemen, if it was a warm-up game or not. It's elimination match, so Cloud9 dropped this one. They are out, and MVP will move on. We'll have to see if they are going to be able to stay alive. Let's cut to a small break, and when we return, it will be Game 2 of Cloud9 going against MVP Phoenix. We'll see you soon.